The moon hung above Earth like a silver eye watching over everything. It was the year 2089, and humanity had returned to the lunar surface with a new dream. This mission was called Luna 2, a small but daring expedition meant to map the dark side of the moon. Commander Elena Brooks stood at the viewport of the lander, her eyes fixed on the endless gray horizon. The dust outside shimmered under the harsh sunlight, untouched and ancient. It was supposed to be another quiet day. Another scan, another report to send back home. Her team of 5 worked calmly inside the base. Dr. Kaido Ren, the lead scientist, monitored seismic activity. Lieutenant Harris, the engineer, checked the power systems while humming an old song. Everyone thought it would be a normal day on the moon. Cold, slow, and predictable until the scanner began to beep. The sound was low but steady, unlike any geological reading they had seen before. Kaido frowned and adjusted the display. "It's metal," he said softly. "Metal?" Elena asked, moving closer. "Not just metal," Kaido whispered. "It's structured, perfectly geometric." The room fell silent. No one had expected to find anything artificial this far from the Apollo sites. They all looked at each other, their hearts beating faster under their suits. Elena ordered Harris and another crewmate, Dr. Vega, to prepare the rover. They rode across the pale desert for nearly an hour. Guided by the strange signal, finally they reached a crater rim, its edges sharp and deep like a wound on the moon's skin. At the center lay something dark. Half buried beneath layers of dust, it shimmered faintly, as if reflecting light that wasn't really there. "Could be debris," Vega said. Though his voice lacked confidence, Elena crouched, brushing away the fine dust with her gloved hand. The surface beneath felt smooth, unnaturally smooth, cold, yet alive. A pattern appeared, glowing faintly with blue light, and for the first time, Elena felt something strange, like a heartbeat under her palm. They set up scanners around the object, but every instrument failed to read it. The data scrambled, the screens glitched, and their communication with the base turned into static. Kaido's voice crackled through the comms. "Commander, we are losing your signal. Can you repeat?" But Elena could barely hear him, only the whisper of her own breath echoing in the helmet. The object pulsed again, brighter this time, and a vibration rippled through the ground. Harris stepped back, his face pale behind the visor. "It's moving!" "Commander!" Elena watched as the buried shape began to shift, the dust sliding off like water. A curved, metallic hull emerged, enormous, silent, and ancient. The light spread across its surface like veins waking from sleep. They recorded everything, though half the cameras failed to capture the glow. The machine, or whatever it was, gave off a low hum that they could feel in their bones. Elena took a deep breath, her voice steady but filled with awe. "This isn't human." Kaido's reply came after a long pause. "Then what is it?" No one answered. The silence of the moon wrapped around them like a shroud. Even though there was no wind, the dust seemed to swirl around the object on its own. The hum grew louder, deeper, as if the thing beneath them had finally noticed their presence. Then, without warning, every suit system flickered. Their oxygen gauges reset, and the stars above twisted for just a second. Elena's heart raced. She felt like the world had skipped a beat. Something unseen brushed against her mind. A faint voice, almost a thought, 3 words, quiet but clear. "We are awake." Her breath caught in her throat. The object stopped moving, the glow faded, and silence returned. But nothing felt the same anymore. She looked at her team, all of them trembling, speechless, staring at the thing that now seemed to stare back. In that moment, the moon no longer felt dead or empty. It felt like it was holding its breath, waiting, and deep inside, Elena knew that whatever they had found wasn't just a discovery, it was an invitation. The moon base was silent that night. No wind, no sound. Only the slow heartbeat of machines echoing inside the metal walls. Commander Elena Brooks sat at the small control desk, staring at the frozen video feed of the alien object. It had not moved again, but none of them could sleep. Every crew member felt that the thing outside was still awake. Still watching them, Dr. Kaito Ren worked quietly on his tablet. Trying to decode the strange energy readings, he rubbed his eyes, sighing. "This power pattern doesn't follow any rule we know." Elena nodded. It feels alive, doesn't it? Kaido gave her a tired look. Machines don't breathe, Commander. But this one might. They tried to contact Earth, but communication failed again. The signal went out, but no reply ever came back. Static filled the speakers, and sometimes they heard something that wasn't static. A whisper, soft, in a language that none of them knew. It wasn't random noise, it was rhythm, almost like speech. Harris turned pale, removing his headset. That's not feedback. Someone's talking. Later that day, Elena decided they couldn't wait any longer. They had to study the ship from inside. The mission was about exploration, and fear could not stop them. Harris protested. Commander, we don't know what it is. We don't even know if it's safe. Elena looked at him calmly. No one ever knew before they made history. She grabbed her helmet, checked her oxygen, and stepped outside with Kato following her. The lunar ground was bright under their boots. The alien structure glowed faintly again, thin lines of light tracing across its curved surface. The hum was soft now, like a low voice humming a song. Elena reached out her hand and touched the hull once more. It felt warmer than before, the moment her glove made contact. A pulse of blue light shot across the hull. The surface rippled like water, and a circular opening appeared. Kaito gasped. It's responding to you. Elena took a deep breath. Maybe it knows we're here. Inside the doorway, the light was softer. Almost inviting, without waiting, she stepped forward, her boots sinking slightly into the strange floor. The air, or whatever it was, vibrated around her. Kaido followed, scanning everything. This metal, it's changing shape. It's like liquid but solid. They entered a long tunnel filled with faint light. The walls seemed to breathe, expanding and shrinking slowly. Sometimes Elena thought she saw shapes moving inside the walls, shadows that looked like faces. Their radios started to crackle, and they heard Harris from outside. Commander, are you okay? You're vanishing from our radar, Elena replied. We're fine, just inside the structure. But even as she spoke, her voice sounded distant, like she was talking from a dream. They reached a large chamber, perfectly round. In the center floated a sphere of silver mist. It shimmered like liquid glass. Kaito approached slowly, holding out a scanner. The device sparked and died the moment he pointed it. Elena whispered, It's like it doesn't want to be recorded. The mist began to swirl faster, forming vague shapes, a human hand, then a face, then 100 eyes opening and closing. It wasn't real flesh. It was light pretending to be alive. Then, without sound, words formed inside their minds. No mouth moved, no echo, only thought. Why did you return? Elena froze, her breath catching. Kaito looked around wildly. Who said that? The voice came again, calm but cold. You should not have come. The sphere of mist pulsed once. Elena stumbled backward as gravity twisted for a moment. Everything stretched. Light. Time. Even sound. Kaito fell to his knees, clutching his head. It's inside our minds, he shouted. Elena grabbed his arm, pulling him up. We're leaving. Now. They ran back through the shifting hallway. The walls changed color. Dark to bright, like the ship was angry. When they finally burst out onto the lunar surface again, the door behind them closed silently, melting into the hull. The hum returned, louder than before, deep and slow like a heartbeat. Elena looked at the ship. It was glowing brighter now. Kaito's face was pale under his visor. Commander, I think we woke it up. Elena stared at the alien vessel. Speechless, the earth shone above, silent and blue. But she couldn't stop thinking about the voice. Those words repeated inside her mind again and again. Why did you return? The next morning on the moon was not like before. The ship still stood there, half buried in dust, glowing softly under the cold sunlight. The crew could not take their eyes off it, even when they tried to focus on work. It felt like the ship was breathing, alive and waiting. Commander Elena Brooks sat near the window. Drinking from her water pouch, she hadn't slept at all. The words from the previous night repeated in her head again and again. Why did you return? It wasn't a question made of sound, but something that touched the mind directly. Dr. Kato Ren entered the small control room, carrying his datapad. Commander, he said quietly. I studied the recordings. Elena turned toward him. And? Kaito hesitated. There's a problem. The ship isn't just metal, it's changing itself every minute. Elena frowned. Changing? Kaito nodded slowly. Yes, its structure rearranges, like it's alive or thinking, and there's more. The energy waves are coming in patterns, not random signals. Like language? Elena asked. Kaito whispered. Yes, maybe even more than language. Before they could continue, Harris called from the other room. Commander, you should see this. They followed him to the external monitor. The ship was glowing again, but this time it was different. A small doorway had opened on its. Still, curiosity won over fear. Elena grabbed her helmet and signaled to the others. This is humanity's first contact with something beyond Earth, she said. If we don't take the step, someone else will. The crew suited up once more. Silent but determined, the moon was quiet. The only sound, their own footsteps echoing over the comms. As they reached the door, the light dimmed slightly. As if reacting to their presence, Elena lifted her arm and placed her glove against the glowing circle. The surface rippled again and opened wider. She stepped inside first, followed by Kaito and Harris. The air inside was heavy, or maybe not air at all, but something that felt like pressure on the skin. The floor looked solid, but when they stepped on it, ripples of light followed their feet. The walls curved and moved. Soft like liquid but still holding shape, it was like walking inside a living thing. Kaito raised his scanner, but it failed instantly. No readings, he muttered. The instruments can't understand this place, Elena whispered. Then we use our eyes. As they walked further, the walls started to change color. They glowed with slow-moving images, stars, planets, and oceans. But when Elena looked closely, she saw something strange. One of the planets was Earth, and the images showed humans, walking, talking, living. Her heartbeat quickened. It knows us, she said softly. Kaito shook his head. Impossible, how could it? Suddenly Harris cried out, Look at the walls! The images changed, showing memories. Not just random scenes, but their own memories. Elena saw her mother's face. Kaito saw his first lab. Harris saw his wedding day, all glowing across the walls in living light. Elena stepped back, her voice trembling. This thing is reading our minds. The moment she said it, the lights dimmed, everything turned cold, and the images disappeared. In the silence that followed, something began to hum. It was deep. Like a heartbeat in the distance, a shape appeared in front of them. Floating above the floor, a sphere of silver light. The same one Elena had seen before. It pulsed once. And then a voice filled their heads again. Why did you return? Elena's breath caught. Return where? We've never been here. The light grew stronger, and the voice replied, You were here before your kind began. The crew froze. Harris whispered, Commander, what does it mean? Kaito swallowed. It means it knows humanity. Maybe it created us, or maybe we are part of its memory. The walls began to bend slowly, like reality itself was breathing with them. Elena felt dizzy, her vision twisting. The floor rippled again, and time seemed to stretch, seconds feeling like hours. Voices echoed, thousands of them, like the memories of everyone who ever lived. Then suddenly, everything went dark. Elena opened her eyes and found herself standing outside the ship. The others were beside her, confused, breathing heavily. The door had vanished again. The ship was silent, still. Like it had never opened at all, Elena looked at her suit timer. It showed they had been gone for 2 minutes, but their base clock said 6 hours had passed. No one spoke, no one moved. Only Elena whispered, her voice shaking. It showed us our own minds, and somewhere deep under the lunar surface, the ship pulsed once, as if listening, as if waiting. The next few days were strange on the moon. The crew could feel that something was wrong, even though everything looked normal. The alien ship stayed silent, but the air around it felt heavy. The instruments inside the base began to fail, one after another. Clocks stopped working, screens flickered, and sometimes reflections didn't match their movements. Commander Elena Brooks sat in the control chair, trying to understand what was happening. Dr. Kaito Ren stood beside her, studying the data on his broken tablet. There's no reason for these malfunctions, he said quietly. But they all started after we entered the ship. Elena nodded, her face pale. Maybe the ship did something to us. Kaito sighed. Or maybe it changed something around us. Later that night, Harris came running into the room, his voice shaking. Commander, you need to see this. They followed him to the observation window. Outside, the stars looked different. They were brighter, closer, and moving slowly like waves. Elena frowned. That's impossible, Harris whispered. I recorded this an hour ago, and the stars were in their normal place? Now they're not. Kaito checked the base clock again. It was stuck at 02:17, but their wrist timers showed 03:41. Time was no longer in sync. Elena looked around, and for a moment, she saw something that made her heart stop. Her reflection in the glass was still looking at her, even after she turned away. She blinked, rubbed her eyes, but it was gone. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "This isn't real anymore." The next morning, Dr. Vega started hearing voices. He said they were whispering from the walls, soft and slow, words he couldn't understand. But somehow they made him remember things that never happened. Kaito checked him for radiation, but his suit and blood levels were fine. Still, Vega kept saying, "They're showing me the truth." The real moon? Elena ordered him to rest, but he wouldn't stop smiling. Later, he disappeared, leaving behind his helmet and gloves on the floor. No footprints, no sound, just gone. The crew searched the entire base, shouting his name. Then Harris noticed something on the monitor. The camera outside showed a figure standing near the alien ship. It looked like Vega, but he wasn't wearing a suit. He stood there in the open, breathing without air. His eyes were white, glowing like the ship itself. Elena's voice shook. "That's not him. That can't be him," Kaito whispered. "Maybe the ship took him." The hum from the alien structure returned, louder this time. It spread through the ground like thunder. The crew felt it in their bones. Lights flickered. Gravity shifted for a second, and tools floated in the air. Elena grabbed a support bar to stay steady. The sound faded, leaving only silence again. When she looked outside, the figure was gone. But a new symbol glowed on the ship's surface, a spiral of light slowly spinning. It looked like an eye-opening. Kaito began to record it, speaking fast. "It's reacting to us again. Maybe it's communicating." Elena shook her head. "No, it's watching." Harris turned toward them, his face pale. "I don't think we ever left the ship." Elena frowned. "What do you mean?" He pointed at the window. "Look, outside." The stars were moving backward. Their reflections in the glass were now delayed. Moving a few seconds after they did, it was like reality itself had started to lag. Kaito dropped his recorder, whispering, "It's bending time around us." Elena felt dizzy, her head spinning. Her mind was filled with images she didn't understand. Cities burning, oceans frozen, humans walking under strange red skies. Voices echoed, millions of them whispering the same word again and again. Return. Suddenly, the base lights went dark. Only the glow from the ship remained, lighting the surface in a haunting blue. Elena tried to move, but her legs felt heavy. Kaito grabbed her arm. "We need to get out now." But outside, the alien ship began to rise slowly. Dust lifted around it like fog, floating upward against gravity. The spiral symbol on its side expanded. Pulsing brighter and brighter, Elena stared at it. Frozen in fear and awe for a moment, she felt like the universe itself was holding its breath. Then the hum stopped, and the moon fell silent again, Elena whispered. "It's rewriting reality." Kaito looked at her, his voice hollow. "Commander." Maybe it already did. The moon was silent again. But silence did not mean peace anymore. The crew sat inside the base, afraid to sleep, afraid to even blink. Every shadow looked alive. Every reflection felt like someone else was watching. Commander Elena Brooks stared at the glowing spiral on the alien ship through the window. It had not faded since the night before. It turned slowly, pulsing like a heartbeat. Each pulse made the lights inside the base flicker in rhythm. Dr. Kaito Ren was recording data. Though the equipment barely worked anymore, he spoke softly into his mic. "The ship seems to be projecting energy patterns toward us. Rhythmic, intelligent, repeating." Elena looked at him, her eyes tired. What do you think it wants? Kaito didn't answer immediately. After a moment, he whispered, I think it's trying to talk, suddenly. The base lights dimmed again. The screens flashed, showing strange symbols, circles, triangles, and lines moving in loops. Kaito shouted, It's sending data through our system. Elena leaned closer, trying to read the shapes. The symbols changed faster and faster until they formed an image. It was Earth, but it didn't look like Earth anymore. The oceans were black, the sky dark red, and the continents covered in strange glowing marks. Harris gasped. What is that? Kaito whispered. It's not the past or the present. It's the future. Then the symbols on the screen changed again. They showed people, humans, walking in darkness. Behind them were giant shapes, tall and bright like stars walking on legs. A voice filled their minds, calm and deep. You were warned, it said. Elena's heart raced. Who are you? She shouted. The voice continued, ignoring the question. You awoke what sleeps between worlds. Kaito gripped the table, his voice shaking. It's not threatening us. It's warning us, Elena whispered. Warning us about what? The ship glowed brighter, and another image appeared. It showed the moon breaking apart, pieces floating into the black. And then, from inside the fragments, the same alien light burst out, spreading toward Earth. The ship's hum grew louder until it filled their heads. They all fell to their knees. Covering their ears, the voice spoke again. Your kind touched what should not be touched. The lights faded, and the image of Earth disappeared. The screens went dark, leaving only the soft hum of the ship. Elena stood up slowly. Her breathing heavy, she looked at Kaito. It's showing us the end, isn't it? Kaito nodded. Yes, or maybe it's showing what happens if we don't listen. Outside, the spiral symbol began to change. It shifted into a pattern of stars, not random, but forming constellations no human had ever seen. Harris stepped closer to the window, whispering, Those stars, they're moving. The stars on the ship's surface began to realign into a new shape, a human face. Glowing faintly, the same voice echoed once more. Humanity was not ready! The ship started to tremble, the dust around it rising like smoke. Elena shouted, Everyone to your stations! But the floor beneath them vibrated and gravity twisted again. Time slowed. The sound stretched like an echo in a dream. Kaito looked at his watch. The seconds were moving backward. He felt weightless, floating above the floor. The walls around them stretched into a tunnel of light. And for a brief moment, they were not on the moon anymore. They were standing in space, surrounded by stars that pulsed like living eyes. Elena turned slowly, her voice trembling. What is this place? The voice replied, calm and cold. This is what you will become. Then everything went dark again. When they woke up, they were lying inside the base. The ship was quiet once more, the spiral gone, but something had changed. The stars outside were not where they used to be. Earth was still there in the sky, glowing faintly blue, but it looked smaller, farther away than before. Elena stood up slowly, whispering to herself, It showed us the future. Or maybe it already started. Kaito looked at the monitors again. One screen had turned back on by itself, showing a single symbol glowing in the center, a simple circle, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. Below it, one message appeared in plain English. We tried to help you. Elena stared at the words in silence. The hum from the ship returned one last time, and deep inside her mind, the voice whispered again, soft and sorrowful. You were not supposed to wake us. The moon was no longer silent. It breathed, it pulsed, it shimmered with strange light. The alien ship at the edge of the crater stood taller now, glowing faintly as if feeding on invisible energy. Commander Elena Brooks watched it from the base window. Her heart heavy with fear and awe, she whispered softly. It's changing again. Dr. Kaito Ren sat at the control panel, staring at a screen full of meaningless data. The readings make no sense anymore, he said. Gravity, light, radiation. Everything is wrong. Harris looked at him nervously. Maybe the machines are broken. Kaito shook his head slowly. No, Harris, it's not the machines. It's reality. Every clock inside the base showed a different time. The air inside felt heavier, though there was no real air at all. Their bodies felt lighter one moment, then twice as heavy the next. Outside, dust particles hung in midair, refusing to fall back down. The alien ship hummed louder, a deep sound that seemed to come from everywhere. The walls vibrated, and the lights flickered in rhythm with the hum. Elena tried to contact Earth again. The signal went out. But what came back was her own voice, repeating, delayed by a few seconds. Then the voice started talking on its own, saying words she hadn't spoken. "Commander Elena Brooks, you have seen the truth." She froze, her blood turning cold. "That wasn't me," she whispered. Kaito's face went pale. "It's using your voice now." They decided to go outside again. Desperate to understand as they stepped onto the surface, their footprints faded instantly behind them. It was as if the moon refused to remember them anymore. The alien ship shimmered, its surface now transparent, showing glimpses of impossible shapes inside. Elena felt dizzy, her vision bending. She saw versions of herself walking inside the ship, thousands of them, all moving in different directions. Kaito gripped her arm, his voice shaking. "Commander, it's not showing us the future or the past. It's showing us every possibility." The hum grew into a deep vibration, and the ground beneath them began to move like water. Harris shouted, "We have to go back!" But the base was no longer where it used to be when they turned around. It was gone, replaced by a long field of light stretching to the horizon. The stars above twisted and stretched, forming strange spirals that looked like eyes watching them. Time seemed to freeze. The hum stopped, and then a voice filled the air. Not in their minds, but all around them. "Do you understand now?" Elena looked up, her voice trembling. "What are you?" The light from the ship brightened until it was almost blinding. The voice answered, "We are what comes after understanding." Kaito fell to his knees, clutching his head. "It's rewriting the laws of physics," he gasped. Harris shouted, "We're going to die here!" But Elena could not move. She felt her thoughts being pulled. Stretched like light through glass, images flooded her mind. Human history. War, hope, fire, oceans, faces she didn't know. Stars exploding, galaxies forming. The voice whispered again, calm and slow. "You live in stories you call reality, but stories can be rewritten." The ground beneath them cracked like glass, and the stars above began to fall. Elena screamed, but no sound came out. For a second, she was floating in complete darkness. Then she saw something impossible, the earth splitting into two reflections, one alive and one empty. She reached out her hand, and both versions moved at once. Her voice echoed in both places. "Please, stop!" The ship pulsed one final time, brighter than ever before. Kaito shouted, "It's consuming the field of time!" Everything blurred, colors, shapes, light, all melting together into a single silver wave. Elena closed her eyes, feeling the entire universe folding around her. Then suddenly it all stopped. Silence returned. The hum was gone. The air was still, the stars quiet again. Elena opened her eyes and found herself lying on the moon's surface. Kaito was beside her, unconscious but breathing. The alien ship was gone, not destroyed, not broken, simply gone, as if it had never existed. The base reappeared behind them, untouched, clean, normal. For a long moment, Elena just stared, unable to speak. She whispered softly, "Did we survive? Or did we just move to another version of reality?" Kaito slowly opened his eyes, whispering back, "Maybe both." Far above them, Earth still shone bright and blue, but now, faintly visible beside it, there was another Earth, a dim reflection hanging in the darkness. And as Elena watched, she realized it wasn't a reflection at all. It was moving on its own, orbiting closer every second. She whispered to herself, "The universe just made a copy." The moon was quiet again. But it was not the same moon anymore. Commander Elena Brooks stood outside the base. Staring at the horizon, the dust was still, the stars above unmoving. Yet she could feel something alive beneath her boots. The alien ship was gone, but its presence remained. It was like the moon had swallowed a dream and refused to wake up. Dr. Kaito Ren slowly approached her, his suit scratched and cracked. He looked up at the sky where Earth glowed faintly blue. Commander, he said softly. Earth looks smaller now. Elena nodded, her voice calm but heavy. Or maybe we are not in the same place anymore. They returned to the base and found Harris sitting near the radio. He was pale, his eyes blank, staring at a dead screen. Elena, he whispered. We received something, she rushed forward. A message from Earth? Harris shook his head slowly. No, from us. He pressed a button, and the speaker crackled to life. Static filled the room, then a familiar voice spoke. This is Commander Elena Brooks, if anyone finds this. Don't come here! Elena froze, her mouth dry. That's my voice, she said quietly. Kaito leaned closer. But you never recorded that, the voice continued. Slow and calm. The ship is not a machine. It's a mirror. It shows what humanity becomes when it looks too deep. Static burst again. Then silence. Elena stared at the speaker, whispering. That can't be real, Kaito sighed. Commander, maybe it's a message from another version of us. Elena looked at him sharply. You mean from that other Earth we saw? He nodded. Maybe time isn't broken. Maybe it's layered. And now both layers are touching. Harris stood up suddenly, pointing at the window. Look, outside. The second Earth, the dim reflection, had moved closer. Its surface glowed faintly red, and lightning flickered across its atmosphere. Elena felt her chest tighten. It's not a reflection. It's coming toward us. The ground began to shake again. Dust lifting off the surface and floating into the air. The instruments inside the base went wild. Lights flashing. Alarms screaming, Kaito shouted over the noise. The moon's magnetic field is collapsing. Elena tried to steady herself, gripping the table. Send one last transmission to Earth. Harris nodded, typing quickly, but the screen flickered and turned black. Then it lit up again. A new message appeared, not typed by anyone. It read, We warned you. The choice is done. The hum returned. Deep and endless. The walls of the base shimmered, turning transparent like glass through them. Elena saw both Earths, one blue, one red, slowly merging into each other. The sky cracked like broken glass, showing pieces of both realities blending. Kaito shouted, It's merging timelines! We can't stop it! Elena took a deep breath, her voice steady even as everything. This is Commander Elena Brooks of Luna 2. We made contact with something beyond time and reason. Her voice trembled. It showed us what happens when humanity touches what it doesn't understand. Behind her, the red Earth grew brighter, its surface burning like a dying star. Elena continued, If this message reaches anyone, remember this. Some knowledge isn't meant to be found. The hum grew louder, the light engulfing everything. Her final words barely escaped through the static. The ship wasn't alien. It was waiting for us. Then the recording cut. Silence. The moon stood alone again, two Earths, now one, blue and red merging into a single. Strange color. From space, the surface of the moon looked different. A new mark glowed faintly near the crater where Luna 2 once stood. It was the shape of an eye, slowly opening. And deep inside that glowing mark, a signal began to pulse again, repeating the same words that had started it all. Why did you return?